Hey everybody, this is another episode of Girl on Fire, back. Hopefully no more interruptions. I'm hoping anyway, fingers crossed. But back again for I don't know, was this the third time, Brenda?
I think so.
Yes, back for the third time is Brenda Murphy. And of course, she picked out we're hoping is a very good hot sauce we're going to discuss. But I'm very happy to see you and glad to have you back. You have new glasses too, it looks like.
I do have I think I have new glasses the last time. Yeah, I went for the we're old enough now, we don't really care. Look.
I'm familiar with that. Because, exactly. I'm not even going to tell you if I have pants on or not.
There you go. I was up on campus today, and I caught like this kid out of the corner of my eye, and I caught this, and I couldn't tell if it was like a flirty smirk or like a smirk. And I'm like, either way, I'm old enough to be your grandma, so like move along.
Oh God, don't you just love the kids of today?
It's almost what I call Han Solo season up at the school. So.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Oh gosh. So how have you been?
I have been fine. I've been busy.
Obviously,
yeah. I have the Bookends just came out, and right before it came out, I sent off the 4th book. So that's with my publisher now, and that'll in that same series, the University Square series. And then I have a Halloween short that it's up for pre-order now, and it'll drop October 8th. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. I can't wait to dip into that. But first, let's do the hot sauce.
Let's do the hot sauce.
Let's do the hot sauce. I'm going to have you pronounce it since you're so good at pronouncing it.
So this is Adobo Loco's Hamajang sauce.
Hamajang. I can say that, Hamajang. Okay.
And Hamajang, this is the best part. So like in Hawaii, when something is like really messed up, where you think someone's about, just like, don't do that. It'll come out. Like if you're giving somebody a recipe and you want to tell them the things not to do to mess up the recipe, it's like, don't do that, or it'll come out all Hamajang. It's like, it'll come out wrong. Okay. So I love that that's the name of this sauce, which really makes me laugh. So
that's interesting.
It's a smoky ghost pepper.
I'm expecting this to be really tasty though, because all the hot sauces from this brand are very good.
There's the last one we tasted one of theirs before, and I can't remember which one we did. But we've done one
but it was good.
It was really Maui something.
Yes, it was Maui. I can't remember the name of it. It was a very red sauce. I want to say it was a habanero sauce. I want to say
that one was a habanero.
Yeah,
and it was and this was supposed to be. This is a ghost pepper. Let me give it a good shake. Shake.
Oh, this one has habaneros in it too.
Yeah, it's got ghost peppers. Smoked
ghost peppers and habanero.
Yep.
And I like how the ingredients are just so simple. Yeah, but it tastes so good.
It's a vinegar-based sauce, and I love vinegar-based sauces.
Me too.
Those are my favorite.
Me too. I've tried other sauces and stuff, and they're okay, but it's something about that tang that you get.
I blame it on growing up eating Carolina barbecue. That is the vinegar barbecue. There's like two different kinds of Carolina barbecue. And there's sweet barbecue in Carolina, and there's the vinegar-based barbecue. And I grew up eating the vinegar-based barbecue.
I've had that too.
I think it just, my taste say that's how things are supposed to taste with that vinegar tang.
It's just that. I think that's why I really love Louisiana hot sauce.
Yes, I put that all over everything.
Put that shit on everything.
Tabasco.
Tabasco.
I put it all over everything.
It is, and it's got it's very vinegary, and it's just like, if I don't have it, I'll eat it anyway, but you'll miss that tang.
You do, you miss the tang. I also put the Cristal sauce.
Oh yeah,
I like that too. Yeah. And I started, my son wants to try hot sauces, and he's still young and kind of young taste buds.
Yeah.
So
Texas Pete is good too.
Easy. Yeah. I've been starting off easy with the Louisiana hot sauce, a little Frank's, which I always think is like baby.
And Louisiana have a habanero hot sauce, and they have a chipotle hot sauce too. Very good stuff. Okay, everybody, I got my little spoon.
I got my
happy
little
to have my spoon.
I got some on there. I don't have a ton on here, but I got
I'm not gonna put it. I got a couple of little drops. It's ghost pepper, so I'm not afraid that it's gonna burn the shit out of my mouth. So I can handle ghost pepper.
It'll sneak up on you later. We'll talk about the popcorn when we finish this.
Oh, I forgot about that's some good. Okay, we'll talk about popcorn.
All right.
Here we go. That is really good.
I got the smoke.
Ooh,
got the heat.
it's got some heat. Mm-hmm.
Woo, yeah, but good. Okay, this is
very
going to be the
tasty.
kind of stuff where you eat it, and then later you're going to go, dang, I can't believe I ate that because that's so hot. Because now you're really getting that heat.
Yeah,
I'm really getting
I feel
heat.
it on my lip.
Tingling.
Yeah,
on my lip.
It's very tasty though.
It is good, but I'm gonna have a little bit of this beer.
I'm gonna drink some water, y'all. Even though it's not really gonna help me, but
no, I got yogurt over here too if I need it, and some peanuts.
That is very tasty.
It is good. Mm-hmm. That's the first time we've had that's made me go woo.
Yeah, I mean it's an immediate heat, but it has a very good taste to it too.
I think it's because it got the habaneros in it.
Yeah,
because ghost peppers usually, you know how you get the heat after you've had it for like a few minutes. But this, you got that bang of heat.
Yeah, right away. Yeah,
and then now the ghost pepper is just hanging out.
Yeah, but it's not the heat's going away.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's going away. That was good though. That would be good on like some eggs.
Popcorn. You told me about.
Wasn't it good? Did you eat like the whole thing in one day?
No, I'm eating it a little bit at a time. It was so good.
It's so good.
But it's also so hot.
It is, and it's a pity that you only get like this little bitty thing of it.
It is. Did you try their jerk too?
Well, I don't eat beef.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So
but it was good too.
I bet it is.
The jerky was good too, but that popcorn, I had to hide it from myself.
Did they send you like a thing of free spices and stuff too?
They sent me a keychain. It was really cute.
I got one too.
They sent me a little keychain with my initial on it, little flames coming out of it.
Yeah. In case everybody wants to know what we're talking about, I found this. I look for hot stuff to eat all the time. You know, popcorn, candy, that kind of thing. Even though I'm really not supposed to have it, you know, we have to indulge ourselves every once in a while. So I found Etsy. It's called, was it Everything Peppers? I think it's called.
Yeah, Everything Peppers, I think is the one. Yep.
Everything Peppers. They have they have dried chilies. They have spices. They have barbecue sauces, I want to say. They have seasoning. And they have this ghost pepper caramel popcorn. It is the best caramel popcorn I have ever had. And it's so good that you forget that it's spicy. Yeah. But it's just like after you pause, after eating maybe a handful or so, it jumps up on you. Yeah. It jumps up on you. Have you tried the trail mix?
I have not tried the trail mix. I just got the popcorn and the jerky. The jerky was really good too. And that's got I want to say it's not as spicy as the popcorn, but it could just be the fat in the beef makes it a little bit more tame. But it's still really, you had some peppers. Yeah. I mean, it's not like one of those pretend to have had peppers kind of thing.
Where it just kind of glazes over it or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, they walked it by the peppers. And but still like beginner stuff.
You have to try it has the other mix. It has like butterscotch, that sounds so white chocolate, little morsels. The trail mix, right? Yeah, that's the trail.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try that. It's so good. Oh,
it sounds really good. The popcorn, I was like, well, it was a little pricey, so I was like, well, I want to
hide it. It is very pricey. It's very pricey.
Right?
And in fact, I don't know. I may have to order some, but hell, I'm scared to order it now. I'll probably get it in 3 weeks from now.
Right.
The way the mail is running. I mean, So look, we just gave Everything Peppers free advertising. That's exactly what it's called. Everythingpeppers.com, I think it's called. Yeah. You can just go there.
The stuff was super fresh, really tasty, really excellent customer service, and there's little bonuses, a little keychain.
Yes.
I was like, look at this little keychain. Yes. This is so cute.
When I put this up, I'm going to put their website and everything up too. So people who want to order highly recommend popcorn, people. I am not kidding you. It is very, very good. Very good.
I thought it would be a good, like if you have somebody, you get somebody on your gift list for like the holidays. Like if they are pepper freaks or they like peppers,
it would be a perfect thing.
Spicy stuff. Send it out. We'll put them in there. Put them in whatever the holiday you got coming up. You need to send it to people. do that because it was really easy.
Have you ever heard of flat iron seasonings?
No.
I'm going to show you. I have one of there. Hold on just for a second.
All right.
Oops. There we go. This right here.
I can't see it. Oh, look at that. Okay, flat iron seasoning.
Flat iron pepper co.
Okay.
They have this is just the Hatch Valley green. It has Big Jim, jalapeno, habanero, and something called sandia. You ever heard of that kind of pepper?
Yeah, those are like, I've heard of them, but I don't think I've had them like alone to know how hot they are.
Yeah, and they have an array of things. They have a 4-pepper seasoning blend that's spicy. They have a seasoning called I Can't Feel My Face, which is
that's really good because my lips are like a little numb now. You know how you get your like a little numb lip thing.
It has Reaper, Scorpion, and some other stuff.
All right.
I've used that one. It's very hot. So you don't have to, but yeah, I'll put them up too for people who are interested. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. And they even have grinders where you can attach them to the top of the bottles and grind it.
Grind your peppers.
Yes. They have a roasted garlic, onion, and pepper blend.
Nice.
As well.
Really good.
Very good. I use that on like everything.
Anything with roasted garlic. That's
it's very good. I use it on just about every. I'm about to run out. I probably have to order me some more soon.
Get some more.
Mm-hmm. So free advertising for the handful of people. Yeah. So yeah, and just for you because I know you're into these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I'm like I'll put that on my list of things that
very good stuff
at my house. Well, and it's really cute. Like I said, my son's really interested in, increasing his tolerance. We got, I got what did I get? I got some wings the other day with some buffalo sauce on them, and they're tasty. I don't think they're super hot, but he was working to get through them. And I'm like, okay, that's good. That's a good place to start. But, I grew up with a grandmother that seasoned everything. And she was like a 2-pack a day smoker.
Oh.
And she liked hot stuff. But because she was a smoker, she couldn't taste.
Yeah, so she would be heavy.
So like everything had hot peppers in it. Everything was, it was really kind of like looking back now, I realize most people's spaghetti sauce doesn't make people sweat. My grandma's chili, her spaghetti sauce, whatever you ate that she fixed made you sweat. I mean, it was just how it was. And I remember I had some poor friend over for dinner and they were used to eating like sweet spaghetti sauce.
The basil with the sweet basil
and some spaghetti sauce. That's how it's supposed to be made. I mean, it's like traditions, different traditions in different parts of Italy, different heat levels. I really don't know that that's really any traditional Italian sauce that is like super hot and spicy, like my grandma used to make it. But whatever.
Probably not. I think the hottest peppers they use are the cracked red pepper. Yeah.
Right. But they, oh my gosh, I think they drank 4 glasses of milk at the dinner table and they were trying to be polite, because I grew up in the South. So they're really trying to be polite and not say, I can't eat this. It's too hot, and they just keep drinking milk.
Oh my God.
And it was a night my grandma had kind of like, even my dad went, hey, wow, Mom, you got it. Because it was even my dad, who was also at that time a smoker, noticed how hot it was. So I always thought that was really funny that night. He's like, wow, Mom, you really hit it tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't grow up. I think the hottest thing I had in my house growing up was the Louisiana hot sauce or the Crystal hot sauce. I mean, we had that. I just, as I got older and started exploring with cooking a little bit more, that's when I started, hiking up the heat level and exploring different peppers and different sauces and stuff like that. And as I got even older, I mean, as you branch out and into the world, and you're like, "Ooh, I never heard of that." I mean,
right. And there's the world of peppers is always it's fascinating. And then the different heat levels and different food, like especially when you branch out into like Indian cuisine is really
Mm-hmm.
hot. There's Vietnamese cuisine that's really hot. There's Korean and Chinese and like all the different multitudes of
Mm-hmm.
heat levels and different peppers and different, like I have a whole different selection of peppers that when I make Indian food, I use those peppers
Mm-hmm.
because they're different. They taste different. They have a
The
different flavor
flavor
profile.
is,
They're not,
yeah,
it's not just about the heat. And I think that
the
people,
flavors that come with it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
people don't, I think people that if you're not you don't like heat,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't explore that part, like
Mm-hmm. Which is
the different
unfortunate.
flavors
I
and different
get
peppers.
it.
Because I can remember someone saying to me, my Indian food at home never comes out right. Like it doesn't taste like the Indian food at like when I go out to eat Indian food.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what kind of peppers you use? The first thing I asked, like, what kind of peppers are you using? You need to go down to the you need to go down to the Indian grocery store and you need
Mm-hmm.
to look for those specific peppers.
Mm-hmm.
Kashmiri pepper is Kashmiri chilies is very different than, don't put, chili powder in it from here. You need, different chili powders
Mm-hmm.
from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, my wife still teases me about getting this whole bag of Korean chili powder
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to make some kimchi and things. And I, grams is very deceiving. So it came like almost like pillow sized, right? I think I've been the hookup for people in the area, like anybody in the
Still
area,
have
like
some of that seasoning you sent me.
if you
I've
need some
used some of
Korean
it.
chili
Yeah.
powder, I got
I still
it.
have some.
Go
Yeah.
buy it. Let
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
share it with you.
There was a Thai food place. It's unfortunately it got a lot of damage with the
Mm,
storm, so they're not opening up anytime soon. But I used to love going there. Their pad thai, and I love pad thai. I know that's just like the bastardized American version of
right.
Thai food or whatever. But this particular place, just the flavor profile, the type of the vegetables they put in it, and the heat level they could get it and still have
Nice.
it be tasty. Oh my God, it
Right.
was so good. I was
Right. And
just
I
like,
love
wow.
the little condiments that you get. And my favorite Thai dish is got a lot of basil in it and noodles.
Mm-hmm.
And the translation is, and I can't remember the name of it now, but the translation is like drunkard's noodles is basically like the hangover food where you get like
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of basil and hot peppers because that's going to make you feel better. But
Oh, of
really
course. Mm-hmm.
tasty and really, yeah, we had a restaurant in DC that we went to all the time. It
Yeah.
was like the place to go. And I missed that. I mean, when we moved here, I live about an hour from any place that's that I can go out and get Thai food or, just
Yeah,
about
I
any.
mean, they have the one place here. I don't know. There's not any place here to get Indian food.
Yeah,
Not an
I'd have to
Indian
go to
place.
Akron to get
I would
Indian
have to
food,
go to
which
New
is very
Orleans.
good.
Yeah.
But we have some really great Indian restaurants here
Oh, I'm
in
so
Akron.
jealous.
They're just amazing. So
Oh,
you have a couple of good picks there that you can go and just have
so
amazing food.
jealous. So jealous.
And it's
Oh,
45 minutes, but it's worth it, when you're
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we pretty much, if we want, I mean, there's some okay places to eat if you just want, good home Creole cooking or,
Yeah.
something like that. But, when my wife wants to go to a wine bar,
Right. We
is
actually have in my tiny little town, we have a wine bar, which is kind of cool. They have
we have
downtown.
one, we have one in the next town over, or we had one. I don't even know if it's
Add
still
one.
there or not.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
no idea.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about, checking that out because we were trying to see, because she likes charcuterie,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she was like, I had to check out, what kind of cheeses they have and everything. And I was just like, so we were just beginning to check it out. And
Right. And then the
talking
storm
about it,
came.
then yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So never know. But anyway, we could talk about food and stuff
We could.
forever.
We
We
could. We could
could.
have our own show about
I
food.
know, I know. I keep telling Kelly we need to have a food segment in shooting the shit, but she's just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
no,
right.
I already do something with my wife. Anyway,
That's really funny. Yeah, because oh my God, their tasting videos are hilarious. They really make me laugh. They really are hilarious. But yeah, no, I taught cooking for a while here. We had a cooking store that had cooking classes,
oh,
and I used to teach cooking classes down there. And I had such a great time because when I was a kid, you always think about like what things you wanted to do when you were a kid.
mm-hmm,
And once I discovered like how fun cooking could be, And for me, it's always just about fun to see if I can do it kind of stuff. Like in your head, you're having your own little cooking show, and being able to teach classes was like having your own little cooking show, because people would come in and I teach to like 12 or 14 people.
Oh,
And I
that's
would
not
have
too
seasonal
bad.
classes. It was so fun because
I bet
really a lot of
it
people
was.
come just to eat your food. Like they kind of want to know how to make it. They're not going to make it at home. Some people were going to make it, but some people just wanted you to cook for them for the afternoon and watch and
There
be
you go.
entertained.
There you
And
go.
so that was a blast. I had such a great time in that. But they closed up. They closed up before COVID, about a year before COVID. They the couple just retired. They were done. It was like a second career kind of thing for them anyway. And they were just, it's a lot. And it was a lot. It was just two of them running the store most of the time. And but I made a lot of great friends with other people that were cooking there. And it just was a blast.
See, I would love to do something like that, but in the age of COVID, I mean, it's just
yeah. It'll come back around again. There is another cooking store downtown that I think was just starting to get ramped up with classes.
Really?
So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah.
But you have, okay, you just had a book come out.
Yes.
Called Bookends.
Yeah.
Which is I saw when I was able to get online. I saw like a bit here and there, but tell us about that.
So Bookends is book 3 in the University Square series, and it's Talia and Amari's story. And Amari is this very contained, proper librarian at the college. It's University Square, right?
Ooh, and a librarian.
She's a dapper butch, right? And she's also a single mom, and she's a widower. And this book is her meeting Talia for what was supposed to be a hookup through my fictitious hookup act that runs through the series. Yeah. And then they have a chance encounter again. And unfortunately, or fortunately, because, Amari's very freaked out because she has kept her private life very separate from her life with her daughter. Like a lot of single moms do, because they don't necessarily want to bring someone else into their family unit.
Exactly.
Her daughter is also special needs, so she's very cautious about that. And so they then do that dance where we really like each other, and how are we going to navigate this situation? Because I always like those stories where we've been intimate and now how do we deal with it?
Ooh,
because
I like that. Yeah, it's like, and I think there's so many ways you can veer off, from that. I mean, you could do the oh, I really enjoyed it, but I've never done anything like that before. Oh, I'm ashamed. Or it could be I really love it, but I don't know if I like this person. So, Where
it's too good and I'm too afraid. So what Amari has to work through is her fears of, she had a very bad experience where she had a partner who was abusive to her daughter. So she blames herself for that. And so she has to, not her wife. And she's very much still, she loved her wife. I mean, she still loves her wife, even though her wife has been gone now since her daughter was 2. And so she's got to work through that grief. And a lot of times, I think, especially parents don't take the time to work through their grief. So that's a big part of the story. And then Talia is a plumber by trade. Because it's a family business. And she was licensed as a plumber, basically before she graduated college, because she knew what her path was. She was going to have to go into the business because that's how her dad is. Oh, look at the kitty. I got totally derailed.
This is Ray. He's coming to give me a kiss. Say hello, Ray. He doesn't understand that I'm busy now. But he's been trying to get in my lap for 30 minutes now.
Of course. That's of course. So her path was kind of set, but it's not really one that she wanted. And she's in this fairly dysfunctional family that she wants to get out. She wants to stop being a plumber. She wants to have a bookstore. And so, that's been her dream since forever. And so she's been working her way towards that. And so this So there's a couple little, stories going along through here. But what was kind of special about this book is I had a woman contact me who said, I don't know if you do this. She said, and she told me about this woman who had been her savior, so to speak, as a teenager, young person, and took her in when her own family was like falling apart and basically acted as her mother. And she said, she passed away this year. She was really special. I don't know if you write people into books or you give them stories or, and I said, I'm always interested in characters. And I said, so tell me about this woman. And I said, tell me the 3 things that you remember the most, because she's since passed on, and what made her special. And I actually tucked her into this book. Wow. And she will be a recurring character, but she actually was kind of the character I needed, because Amari is very close to her mother, but you can't talk to your mom about everything. No, and you certainly can't talk to your mom sometimes about things, like your private life, your personal life. Because her mother's all like, you need to get back out there. And this is the first person you've been interested in a long time. What's the matter with you? Like they have a big, headbutting thing over this. Was like, don't push me kind of stuff. So, but this other woman, Kathy, who's in the book, gets to be that foil, that person who encourages her to do the work. So it's a little different than anything else that I've written, because there's a lot, there's a moment where they don't necessarily, I want to call it, there is a point where it's like a breakup sort of thing that happens. That's pretty intense. And I'm like, when I was writing it, I'm like, gosh, I hope people will be okay. You can't write a character so far out that people can't forgive them.
That's true.
If you make them such jerks and such not understandable, like why their behavior if you can't understand why their behavior happened, they're irredeemable. Yes. And it doesn't matter what happens later, no one's going to ever put them back together. Yes. And so that was really hard. I mean, a lot of times those scenes are hard to write, but that one in particular was very difficult to navigate. Just because, Amari's got a lot of layers. She's a lot of layers. She's a Black woman in a small town. She has recently gotten a promotion because the other woman who was running the library, who was very much anti-LGBTQI. And, she's afraid to make a big deal about her promotion because he's afraid the woman will just say, no, I'm staying. So she doesn't have the promotion because that's how bad this woman has been. So she's navigating that. She's navigating a daughter who's on the spectrum. She's navigating. I was
going to ask about that. What you said she was
she's special needs. So she's on, her daughter's, high functioning, but on the spectrum. And, she's navigating that as a single parent and navigating grief. So Amari was deliciously intense to write because there's so many layers to her character, peeling that apart. And then having Talia be, she's got a lot of layers too. She's dealing with, how do you tell your father, whose only focus in life has been this business,
that you don't want to be a part of it.
That you don't want to be a part of. And, her older brother died in a car accident that all of the rest of the family survived. That was, and he was the shining star. And she and her twin brother have never been enough, even though they're in the business, even though they're doing all the things that their father wants, and she finally, and they both, he's also partnered, they came out at the same time, but her brother really drove it because he was tired of hiding his partner. And, there's that pushback within the family. And so that was kind of cool. And then the other part that was fun about this book is that it was the kernel for it came from a friend that called in the midst of, at the end of a bad breakup. And she said to me, she goes, can you write me a book where one of the characters beats up a car, like Beyonce in a yellow dress? I said, well, I don't know that I can copy that scene exactly, but I'll see what I can work into it. So, part of it was the first time I've written a book where people actually had requests. And I was able to, it was really fun. And it was really cool to have people trust you with their ideas.
I love how you consistently use diverse characters.
I have to.
Well, yeah, no, you don't have
Well,
to.
I don't. You're
You
right. I
don't have
don't,
to.
but it's appealing to me because it's how my characters come to me. And I think it's because my life prior to moving to the town that I live in now, my world was diverse. I lived and worked in Northern Virginia. I worked in, Alexandria. I worked in Washington, D.C. I worked where there were just so many people from so many different places and so many different cultures. And I've said before in the show, my very best friends in the world are in an interracial relationship and have been together almost 40 years now. And they're just my family, they're my people, and they have been my people forever, even when I was a little baby dyke and they were taking care of me, making sure that I didn't get in too much trouble.
But even in this day and age, I mean, I like how more authors are trying, not enough, it's, by any means is not enough, but I like how you've just always been out there about it. I mean, it's just like there was no qualms, there's no hesitation. It's just, I mean,
And I think I don't have that hesitation that some people do because their fear stops them. And I think I don't know, just they get all balled up because they're afraid they're going to do it wrong. And there are a lot of people that do do the work, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say they don't do the work.
Yes, they do. I do sensitivity reads. I've seen some stuff.
Right. Yeah. We've all seen some stuff that I just go, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So, and I think that what's hard is, and I was talking to my kids about this, about, acknowledging the hidden biases that you have, or sometimes it's really hard. That's a lot of work. And it's a lot of thing to step back and say, okay, why am I making this person? Like every single character in one of my books, I really look at them as a person, which sounds kind of weird, but like in my mind, they're a real person. And I also look at like where my power dynamics, how are they placed and situated in the story? I don't necessarily want anybody to come across as anybody's savior, but I want it to be two people that work together to work through their things.
That's the important thing. Yeah,
right. But if I do make anybody a savior, I always make sure that I don't do the magical Negro thing.
Oh,
in fact, yes. My favorite, right? But in fact, I actually have a character say that in Complex Dimensions.
Oh my God, really?
My black character, who like the white character's actor, like, what should I do? And she goes, I'm not your magical Negro. Right.
We have all the answers.
Right. Right. And she's like, I know that. I'm just asking your ability.
Okay. Before we go on.
Yes.
Why don't you explain exactly what that means?
Okay. So in many, many stories, what you will find is the token black character in the story. And it's almost always just the token black character will be the person who has all the answers. Like they're sitting on a hilltop, and there'll be all these messed up people around them, and they'll be like, and usually, I mean, and this is the part that always gets me, it'd be one thing if they made them like the therapist who might actually professionally have answers, but it's typically the janitor, the lady who delivers lunches, the person behind the counter at the wherever you're going to
get food, beautician,
the person who does your nails. So, and they, in a way, it's really, what's the two things that really get me about it is the assumption that there's some mystical, magical thing that these people, even though they're not getting paid for the work you're asking them to do, basically fix my life. And it's such a trite,
it is
constant. And I think especially like in the 90s, when they were trying to bring in, more quotes, diverse cast members, and they didn't know what to do with them. And instead of like giving them the lead in movies, they just like plug somebody in like, oh yeah, and we'll make it be cool because they'll have the answers.
It's, to me, if it's like another layer of being a minstrel. It's just
Yeah.
another layer of it. And,
Right.
and people is actually called magical Negro. She's not making that up. It's actually
Right.
it's actually called that.
Right.
So
Right. Well, there's a really funny Saturday Night Live skit.
I remember that.
You
Yeah.
remember that skit? And then
I
they're
remember
both,
that.
and it's like it was such a great send up
Mm-hmm.
of the whole thing. And so I really try and make sure that I don't do that. And I make sure that, you know, my world is diverse, you know, in characters, in how they're interacting, what they're doing, and just try and make them real people. And I think that that's, I mean, part of that for me is just how my life is, which gives me a little bit more. And I have a friend who actually studies race as part of her, that's what her dissertation was on, and that's what she teaches about as a psychologist up at the college. And she told me that, like, in a lot of things that she reads about how people interact with race and how they cope with all of the things, is that people who actually have frank conversations versus glossing over it in a friendship, you know, do better as far as working and interacting and actually communicating about race with people. Like, just pretending it doesn't exist, just pretending that microaggressions aren't there, not being aware of those things. Like, I think so many people aren't, you know. In my book one, my lead character is a Black woman, and she's traveling in Europe, and she experiences the same level of racism and aggression in parts of Italy that she experiences at home. And being able to, and that came from a very real trip that I made with some friends. We went to Italy for a conference. I traveled with my wife a lot of times when we used to travel. We went to Italy for a conference, she and her colleagues, and it was our colleague, her co-author, is a Black woman, her partner's Black. And so we went out and we were traveling in Italy. We were there a couple of days early so we could go and do things. And it was, of course, so they're all anthropologists. Right? Two anthropologists and a historian. So we're like, whenever we do anything and we notice stuff, it then becomes like a field study.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
What we're doing. Oh yeah. At one point we were all taking pictures of the sugar packets on the table with the most outrageous caricature of a Black man on them that was right
on sugar packets?
On sugar packets in Italy. I have it. It's just outrageous. And I'm like, it made Uncle Ben look like a serious portrait. I mean, that's how bad the caricature was, right? And of course, we're all like, "Whoa, look at that!" And we're pulling it over and taking pictures and all of that stuff. But still, watching that, you know, I am a big observer, and I worked in healthcare for a long time. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of systemic racism within the healthcare system, and so observing that and being aware of that, and just trying to, you know, I say, like, when you're in the belly of the beast, it's the only way you can dismantle things. So like homophobia, racism, all of that stuff, you know, addressing it, calling people out on it, you know, not letting people slide. Somebody asked me at work one time when it was really popular to say that that's so gay. Remember when everybody was saying that? Oh, yes. So gay, right?
Yes.
So we're at work one night, and one of the women there said to me, she said, "Does it bother you?" Like, all of a sudden it hit her that I was sitting there when everybody was going on about something being so gay, right? And she goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, does that bother you when we say that?" And I looked at her and said, "You know what?" I said, "I'm a big girl and I've been around a long time." I said, "I've been called a lot worse." I said, "But I do think that whenever you are wondering whether or not what you're saying is going to be offensive,
then it already is.
Take that word and replace it with the N word. And if it's not a word that if you wouldn't say the N word, don't stick the other word in there too. Okay?" And she looked at me and I said, "It's a great rule of thumb." And she says, "Wow." And I went, "Right." I said, "It's no different. It's no different." I said, "There will be people that probably disagree with me." And like I said to her, I said, "I've been around for a long time. I have been called way worse than gay in my entire lifetime." I said, "I grew up when things were bad, and they're still bad in a lot of places, but way better than it used to be for me, not everybody." And that's the other part we have to remember, like within the big, you know, rainbow tent, it's not better for everybody.
No. And I hate, I mean, you know, when you say replacing that word with the N word,
Yep.
And, not a lot of people would agree with you. This is what I feel about that kind of thing. It's not a contest. And
Right.
I hate it. I hate it when people say, you've been persecuted for hundreds of years. Persecution is persecution. It doesn't matter how long you've been persecuted.
It's not a contest. Right.
It's not a contest.
I love that. It's not a contest.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Maybe Black people win in that contest, but what do we get? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. We're all minorities. We're all minorities.
We are all minorities. And I used to have a conversation with one of my friends at work, and she's married to a Black man. She's a white woman married to a Black man. And her family was really not accepting at all for a long time. And then they finally got over themselves after, I think, the second grandchild. But they had been married for a long time before it like sorted itself out. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, I said, I always think that interracial couples always have it a lot harder. I said, because my wife and I can blend if we have to. I said, we can come on. I said, I can pull it off. I said, I know I don't look at it every day. I said, but if I said, especially in the Midwest where, if you put on a pair of earrings, they just think you're a farm lady. If you have matching earrings, they have to be matching and not up here. You can't have I can't fill in all my holes. But if I wear a little pair of matching earrings, I can pass for a farm lady. Right. Which is helped. My wife caught me putting a pair of those on to go to the hardware store, and she looked at me and she goes, what are you doing? Right. Because I hardly ever wear earrings of any kind. And I said, I got to go get this 50-pound bucket of drywall. And she goes, so again, what are you doing? And I said, if I go like I normally look, I could die in the aisle before one of them dudes is going to come help me. I said, I guarantee you, if I go in here like this, they are going to come racing over to help the nice lady load that big stuff into the bucket. And that is exactly what happened. I had 2 men in the aisle helping me with my 50-pound bucket of drywall. I said, I'm going to have to carry it when I get it home. If I don't have to carry it in the store and put it in the cart and put it in the car, that's just fine with me. She gave me a hard time. She goes, that's called strategic gender deployment.
Whatever.
Right.
I remember it was a little bit after I had my surgery. And I was like, okay, I'm tired of being cooped up in this bed. I was, I think I had just gotten the drains out. The drains out. So I was like, okay. I said, I am going to go to the grocery store by myself. I can drive now. I got the drains. So, okay. And the grocery store is like 5 minutes away from where we live. So I was like, okay, I'm going to the grocery. It was like maybe 7:30 in the morning. I said, there's not a lot of people there. I'm not going to, nobody's going to jostle me or, whatever, can take my time. So I get there, I'm looking around and I reach up and I forget that I don't have the range of motion that I usually do. And so I'm like trying to reach, I can't reach up without, a lot of pain.
Right.
And, and it's just like, and, I had already been in the store. I'd been mistaken for a guy twice.
Oh, man.
So, which that happened all the time anyway. I mean, right. So, and it never bothered me, but it was just like, so I'm trying to, and I think it was cranberry juice. I was trying to reach up and get the diet cranberry juice, and I couldn't get it. And, it was just like, oh my God. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And so I'm like trying to turn this way and get it and everything. And lo and behold, so I guess some guy, you know how you see somebody at the corner of your eye, way down there, down the aisle, came rushing up. Ma'am, do you need some help? Are you okay? Are you okay? Really nice. And I was like, well, I said, I said, I just had surgery. I'm having problems, reaching up. And he like put it in my basket for me and everything. He was like, do you need anything else, before, really nice. And I was like, well, yeah, it was very sweet. I mean, so I was just like, oh, so yeah, it's surprising. And, it I guess just because I maybe look helpless, maybe I had on,
But don't you do that if you notice somebody struggling in the store? Yeah. I always go over and say, "Can I help you get whatever?" And I would hear like Tuesdays, like the senior discount day. So all the seniors go, and a lot of them are older and they have a hard time reaching stuff. They're not very tall, whatever. So I would always end up, one lady she was buying a big thing of bird seed, and she said, can somebody help me out with the car with this? And the lady's like, I don't have another bagger right now. And I said, ma'am, I'll carry it out for you. I'm like, she goes, you could do that? And I said, well, I'm not in a hurry. She goes, you have time. And I said, your car's just outside, right? I'm not hiking someplace. She goes, oh, it's just in this parking lot. I said, well, I take your, it was just those little things. And I think that, it is. It's those little things helping each other out.
Yeah. And you know what? Since we're talking, this is always about writing. And, to me as a writer, and I know if I say this to you, you're not exactly what I mean too. It's those little things that make those characters pop, that make them real, that make them come off those pages, enough to where they're memorable. Right. Not every author is able to do that, but
if you say the ones, the little things, like, do they stop and help the person who can't get the cranberry juice? Do they stop and talk to the kid? Are they kind with their own kid? Are they kind with other kids? Are they reasonable? How are they with other people? And I love writing this series because it's not, the Rowan House series, the characters are pretty isolated. I mean, it's a maid family in Rowan House, within Rowan House. But they typically don't have, other than the owners, a sibling or anybody else to play off of. And in these books here, they're very much as a family. Amari and her mom share a duplex. Her mom's right next door, and she's very much a part of her life, and very much a part of Brianna's life, and very much her daughter, and very much a part of them, being together. And so, bringing that in, like, that's another,
making them relatable. Yeah.
And, Talia is really close to her twin brother and she's her best friend. It's like, so you can have them ping off, and the little interactions that they have with those people are what make the overlapping circles when they come, back together. And it's also another way to peel those layers of your character. I think, if you're writing a good character, they're onions.
Yes,
you can finally get down to, like, when you start, like, you think you know them, and like something else happened, you're like, oh, that's why they're like that. And something else happened, and you're like, oh,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a woman, I had someone contact me and say that they were reading the book, and that they had to stop for a bit because they had lost their wife. And they said the second chapter really made them cry, but that it was a good cry. And I thought, okay, so I did something right here. Because you're always, I'm always like, that's a fine line too with grief, writing grief in a book. You don't want to make light of it. And at the same time, you don't want it to be like, if it's a romance, especially,
overtaking things.
That can't be that's not that book. That's literary fiction. If that's what you're writing about, that's a different book, but you can't just let it go. I mean, you have to be able to bring that in. And so it was the hardest book I had to write. I wrote it during COVID. I wrote it when it was just very, very hard to slug through this.
I know that feeling.
Because of all of the things that were going on. And, I was going through my own grief. I lost my aunt last year, who was almost like a mom to me. I mean, she was, but even better because she was your aunt, she's like the crazy wild aunt. And so that was hard too. So like that was, piecing that apart and putting that in there. But I think that, I don't know, I really like it as it fits into the series. I think it's a nice addition. I think people will like it. I hope so. I like it.
And sometimes that's all that matters.
I think so. Yeah. If you don't like a book, I mean, people will say to me, like, not joking, like some people's like, oh, I hate my manuscript today.
Yes,
and
today.
Like, if you hate it, we all have those days where you go, this is
I should set this fire is crap. To it. This is utter junk. Yes.
But if people say they hate it, like they don't like the story or they don't like where it's going, I'm like, you are in charge. you can change that.
Yes.
You're the creator. And if you don't like how it's going, change it up.
Exactly.
I mean, I've had stuff that I thought was going to go one way and totally veered off
Yes,
into
I
a
know
whole
that
other
feeling.
direction because it didn't feel right for the characters. And if you've done your character work, like I do a lot of character work when I do this series stuff, I probably spend a couple of weeks getting my characters nailed down so that when I put them into the story that I have in my head, I don't, like when they do something, when they behave a certain way, I don't have to second guess myself, like, would they do that? It's like it just flows. And the more character work I've done in advance, the easier the story is to write. Those times when I've tried to shortchange it, it hasn't flowed. It's like those are the times where you're just banging your head on the keyboard going, what am I missing? What do I
do? Yeah.
And then I have to go, where am I going? What am I doing? And then whenever that happens, I stop what I'm doing and I go back to my character sheets. Because I usually do a timeline for my characters, like their life timeline up until the time of the story. With like what happened. That's from Eileen Cook's book about doing building better characters. And so I do a timeline of like events in their life, because we all carry those past events, like say you broke your leg when you were 14 and you had to be in a cast and you missed the prom or whatever dance, or I don't know, making stuff up here off the top of my head, but you missed something really important to you because you broke your leg. And then how does that affect you, and then the layers of that. So I do a timeline. I do like a goal, motivation, and conflict kind of sheet, but I kind of do a twist of that, because the goal in every romance is love, right? Right. Romance, love, a relationship is your goal. Even if you don't know that as a character, you really want that, because it's a romance, right? But I also put in, I did a screenwriting course through Creative Live with Hal Ackerman out. And one of the things that he talks about is you have to know what your character's wadoogie is. Like, what would they do to get it? What will they do to get this thing that they want?
I like that question. I love that question. Yeah.
What are they willing to give up? What are they willing to do? So like I do that. And then I went to a workshop about writing sex at one time. And one of the things that the person leading the workshop wrote was, you have to think about when you're writing your characters in an intimate scene, and in the book itself, the lie that they tell themselves and the lie that they tell to other people. Like, if there are things about your personality that you don't want to reveal, so the lie you tell other people, but then the lie that you tell yourself about whatever else is going on. So like being able to like think about that, like characters like, oh, this is just a one-time thing. Or this isn't going to go anywhere. That's the lie you're telling yourself, or like, I can stop anytime I want. That's the lie that you're telling yourself, right? I'm not that hooked on this person. This is
not at all.
The lie that you're telling yourself, the lie that you're telling other people, like, whatever else is going on about your relationship and whatever. So that was, I do all of that.
I like that. I mean, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, like, I totally recommend Eileen Cook's book, Building Better Characters. That book, really, that is the book that I read. I got it out at the Surrey International Writers Conference, the last one that I attended before everything shut down. And I read it on the way home and and that book, that was in October. And I read it on the way home because I was getting ready to start my NaNoWriMo project. Read it on the way home, marked it all up on the way, because I was flying back from Vancouver, so a long flight. Came back, did the character work, did the NaNoWriMo project, and that is 6 that went on to win the Goldie. So, yeah, so I always say that I wrote Eileen, I'm like, this was your book. This was all the work that I did your book, it helped a lot, because your characters, if you don't have solid characters, you don't have a story.
No,
characters are story.
I'm kind of grappling with that right now myself, as I'm trying to get back into the mode of, because my goal is to finish this book by Christmas.
Okay,
I said by Christmas, so I'm grappling right now. You talked about the character motivations and stuff like that. I'm grappling with how far they would go What would they do to protect themselves, protect their jobs, whatever. And I'm like, I know what I think they would do, or I know what they would do, but I do worry if the reader would accept it.
Well, I think if you weave in enough stuff
Mm-hmm.
beforehand about their values, like what's important to them,
Mm-hmm.
what is their number one thing? Like for Amari, her number one thing is Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
That's her number one thing. Like if you peel away everything else, making sure that her daughter's safe is more important to her than anything else in the world. Like a lot of parents, you want to make sure your kid is safe and happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's put her own happiness second for all of this time. So she has to get to the point to where it's okay. And she can have both. Because I think that's the other thing. Like that's a fun thing to play with. Characters who think it's either or, not realizing they can have both. But if you build
or that they're willing to go out on the edge to get both.
Right. How far will you go? What will you do to get it? What will you do to get it? And I highly recommend Creative Live, Hal Ackerman's screenwriting course. So I learned so much about how to structure a story so that whatever your characters do at the end is believable. Because if you don't build in those little things that spiral to where they're going to go, like you can't when stories like jump the shark is when you've gotten say somebody's meek and mild through the entire book, just meek and mild, takes everything, doesn't say anything, and then they snap. You're not going to believe that. But if you show them meek and mild, but not really, meek and mild, but not really, like you have to build
and just going, a little bit more,
and it's a spiral. It's like it just spirals up. If you don't put that in there, nobody's going to believe it later when she like takes that hammer to everybody. Nobody's going to believe that. They're just not, because it's not going to make any sense. Because
that's true.
You have to have clues or drop those breadcrumbs to character. Your character breadcrumbs. If they get, this is one I like, they get more change than what they deserve. They go out for dinner and the bill is like, I don't know, $50, and they hand the waitress $100 and she brings them back, $60 in change. What do they do with that? Do they tell her? Do they leave it as a tip? What do they do? Put it in their pocket? Don't say nothing? I mean, that tells you so much about a person's character. I mean, that's an easy one. Like that's a giveaway you can do anywhere in a story. Little things like that. The kid who's obviously selling them some really watered down lemonade. Do they buy it? Do they walk on by?
Do they buy it and say it's the best lemonade they've ever had
in my life? Thank you so much. This was fabulous. Those kinds of things. Like, do they get through the soup that's absolutely horrific? Or do they say, babe, this is awful. Can I take you out to dinner?
I would definitely be the babe. This is, I can't. Let's just go.
Right. This sucks. Did you I don't know what happened, or I'm just not feeling this tonight. Can I take you out to dinner? Or I was, oh my God. Have you watched the original Auntie Mame with Rosalind Russell? Okay. Great, fun movie to watch for her character development. I don't care for how they present the her two servants in the movie. There's a lot of really racist crap in the beginning.
Yes, of course there is. Yeah.
Right. Very much. It's along the lines of like Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I know what you're talking about.
Macaroni out of it. Right. So, but she goes to visit her nephew that she's raising, his future in-laws. And while she's there, and they are the most outrageously restricted neighborhood bigots in the world, right? And she is not, and she's trying to, but she's kind of reconnoitering what her nephew might be getting into. And at the same time, trying to be gracious as she's a guest in this people's home. And they serve her a daiquiri that's like super sweet. And she says to him, she's like, and you can see her face kind of like, she's like, however do you get that so sweet? And he says, honey. She's like, beg pardon. He goes, oh, I use honey. She goes, oh, and she like, when they're not looking, she like totally throws it into a plant and then it goes back to what she's doing. And I always think in the moment, that's such a great character. It's an insight into your character. She's going to say to him, God, I can't drink. This is too sweet. What the hell? That's not how you make a daiquiri. Right. She like politely throws it into the plant.
And just, yes.
Right. And then he comes back and he goes, hey, you're a fast drinker. Let me make you another one. And she's like, oh, no, I have to drive. Thank you. She begs off. But it is there are some really great moments in it as far as like revealing her character and the story. Like if you ever get in the book, Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis was written by her nephew that she raised, is really, again, characterization. She was a real person, but as he presents her character, you can just see that her whole life and how she reveals her character. Again, you see the layers so that you believe her behavior when she gets to the end, because her nephew has become like this babbity little snob. And she's like, at one point, you think they're going to walk away from each other. And then they don't. And they put it back together. And because she can't and he can't either. But in that moment in the film, you're like, if the first time you see it, like, oh my God, is this it? Because it's the love story, of the two of them just becoming family. So I think that when you get back to your work, that's, a lot there. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
I know. You can do this by Christmas. I have faith in you.
I think I can too. I think now, I'm trying to get work back into routine and everything. So I think
had a little bit to deal with.
Yes, just a tiny bit. So okay, so you would tell us about this Halloween short that you got.
Okay, so I love Halloween. I love the month of October. I love Halloween. We start decorating my house like the 1st. And I grew up watching all of those really bad horror films from the 50s because they were on late at night. And I just loved how campy they were and how badly, special effects were horrible.
Oh my God, yes.
Creature from the Black Lagoon, the original
I remember
Dracula, all of the giant creature movies, them with the ants, Night of the Lepus, all of the really bad movies. And I love them because they're just hilarious to me. I think the only thing, I can't think of a movie that I've ever watched that really kind of creeped me out or scared me other than The Cell with J-Lo. Do you remember that one with J-Lo and D'Onofrio?
Yeah.
That one scared me a little bit.
Really?
It was inside. Yeah, because it seemed like it could be real. Like real killers versus supernatural animals and things don't get me as much. But that one kind of made me go, ooh, but not really. And Event Horizon.
Oh, yes, that's
Event
creepy.
Horizon.
Creepy.
That made me go, ooh.
The only movie that has ever, what was the name of it? Salem's Lot.
That one got you.
Because I was a kid when I saw it.
Kid. Yeah.
I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I remember I had insomnia and it was like maybe 2:00 in the morning or something.
Oh my gosh. And you were watching that by yourself.
And I was watching it in the living room. I got up out of my bed and I came into the living room and watched TV because this is back in the day where I think we had a little black and white TV in our living room.
Oh my God! So you're watching it in black and white?
No. We had a black and white TV in our bedroom, but I came out into the living room to watch TV because I didn't want to wake my sister.
Right.
So I'm sitting there. I'm looking for something to watch, and so I ended up watching Salem's Lot. and I remember this part where one of the kids kept hearing something in his window. Or was it a kid?
Yeah,
it was somebody. Yeah, you know what part I'm talking about?
I do.
And he goes and looks, and it's either another kid in white or somebody in white or something like that.
Right, outside the window, yeah.
Yes. And I remember around that same moment, my mom had come out of the bedroom and she had on a white nightgown.
Oh no.
And I turned, it was like out of the corner of my eye. I turned and all I saw was like this floating white gown. And I almost started screaming. And she was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, I was watching a scary movie and I just saw you out the corner of my eye. That was the only movie that it was just like, I mean, I had never been that close to just like being so frightened before in my life. It was just like,
I'm trying to think. I think there was a Twilight Zone when I was a kid that I saw. The one with the dang doll. Whatever that one is where the doll comes to life and kills them. It's a Twilight Zone.
I don't remember that one. I've seen
just it was either Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. But yeah, one of those got me. But for the most part, you know, but the old ones just make
they're so campy. I remember seeing them. Yeah.
And I loved you know, Movie Macabre with Elvira. I just finished reading her memoir, the Cassandra Peterson's book, memoir, Elvira's memoir. They're really good. Highly recommend if you're a fan at all. And even if you're not a fan, it's a very interesting, you know, book about her life. But because of that, I decided last year I wrote a short Halloween story, and I used that as a freebie on my website. That's a paranormal that I wrote, and it was short. And this year, because I had this fantastic cover that I have had on my hard drive for a while from May Donnie, that it was so cool. It's called Unwilling Killer. And it says she doesn't want to, but she will. And it's like this wild cover, and it reminds me a lot of a film cover. Like it looks like it could be a movie poster. It's got these wild colors, and she's in like this short plaid skirt with a samurai sword, and it's just crazy looking. And I loved it. I'm like, oh, I have to write a story to go with this cover. And I said I loved it so much. And the title, Unwilling Killer, she doesn't want to, but she will, it made me laugh out loud. And I'm like, this is perfect. Just put my name on it. And so I bought it pre-made, put my name on it, and then I waited to write a story for it. So this is the story. And it is about a demon halfling who is partnered with a demon, and they are like this. She's a top negotiator for a consortium of people that's trying to bring supernatural people together. And they're called to Amish land to investigate a grisly series of murders.
Amish land?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the whole kernel for this story is years ago, I was talking to my best writer buddy, Megan Hart, and I said, I really want to do a horror story set in Amish land. And we were talking, and she goes, if you don't do it, I'm going to do it. Because it was just, it's the perfect place. I mean, there's cornfields.
Yes, lots of
corn.
There's
the whole Amish mystique. You know, like
it's so quiet, and it's so quiet, so quiet
there. Quiet. It's dark at night because there's not a lot of light, and it's just that whole, you know, countryside creep factor where there's no one to hear you scream, like Children of the Corn, right? So, which I really totally, I mean, and I just got to have the most fun. There's lots of sex in it, lots of, you know, whacking of bad guys, and just. It was a blast to write, and I had fun writing. It's up on KU right now. It's on pre-order, but it's going to be in Kindle Unlimited. And it just was fun to write. I just needed to write something for me that was just fun. That would be like my Halloween thing. So it's my little camp Halloween short story. They're funny with each other. My couple are very, they're very, I don't know. They're very back and forth. Like it's very obvious that they really care about each other, but they're funny with each other. There's, I don't know, it was just fun to write. I think it's I think because I love the genre, the horror genre, but I don't write it. But sometimes I think I would like to. So this is like,
if I could, oh my gosh, yes.
Whenever I have those, I want to try something out. I will, like with paranormal, when I wanted to write paranormal, I wrote shorter things. Like I wrote the two paranormal novellas to just try it out. And the same thing with this. This is like 50K, you know, 15. I did a 6K short story. That's the one that's on my website. But this is like a novella. It's like 15K, you know, it was easy to do in that it was a short line. You know, I didn't have to do complicated plot. You can just go start to finish. But it was fun to play with the genre. And I think I have another cover for, and I love doing like a seasonal thing. And I have another color that I think I'm going to do for winter, for like a seasonal winter, that's called Winter Spell. The same kind of thing where I just love the cover so much. And I just said, please put my name on it, just like it is with that title, because I'm going to write to the title because I already have, things that are in my head. Do you do that? I mean, do you have the title first sometimes and then the story, or the other way around?
Sometimes either way. And right now, like, even though I'm working on, I'm starting to work again on this book right now. For some reason, it's stuck in my head that my next book, I have to have a female character, the female protagonist. Her name has to be Michael.
There you go.
And it's just stuck in my head. And I have no idea what else is going to be about. I just know the character's name is going to be Michael.
Don't you have those like sometimes I'll have an opening scene rattling around in my head for like a year before I sit down to write the book.
It's the craziest thing.
It is the craziest thing. And I'm trying to remember what was the one. I had one recently where it was like that, where it was like, oh, the one I just turned in. I just turned in a book to 9 Star Press, like not just turned in, but I turned in August, I think, to 9 Star Press. And I had the opening scene in my head for like 2 years before I finally sat down. Yeah, before I finally sat down to write it, because it was just, it's in there. I have another one that's in my head, and it's been in my head for like 5 or 6 years, but I don't have the rest of the story yet. Like sometimes it's just the opening part of the book and the rest of it hasn't showed up.
Yeah. I have it in my head that this woman's name is Michael and she's a criminal.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what kind of criminal she's going to be. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to stay that way. I don't know. We'll see when I get to it. We'll see if I get to it, if something comes of it,
Well, it might take a while.
It might. Yeah.
But but then
one thing at a time.
Oh, again, and hopefully nothing else will derail you.
I hope not. My God.
That was crazy. That's got to be once in a lifetime kind of thing.
I hope so, because hurricane season is not over till November.
I know, and there's stuff out in the way out, which is like looks crazy.
Yeah.
Right now, but them using the drone footage from inside is fascinating. Like on a lot of the weather, you can see like inside.
Yes, the drone footage from Ida? They were talking about how the winds were up to 200 and I think said 27 miles per hour or something like that.
Inside, yes.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, that was the thing. I saw that on the Weather Channel where they were talking about being able to take all those readings. Of course, all I could think of is like that crazy Twister movie with Helen Hunt in a tank top, which was really the best, right?
Yeah. They're remaking that, by the way.
Oh, they weren't that far off. Sending a drone up in there.
No, they were not. Not. And they're actually remaking that movie.
Are they really?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that old.
No, they're remaking a lot of things that I don't know how I feel about some things. Or just,
it was a good movie, but it wasn't
classics. That is such a, again, campy kind of classic.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So speaking of campy classics, I think the guy who caught the alligator have you seen that with the big trash bin wearing a pair of slides in Florida?
Of course, it's in Florida.
In Florida, this man, and it's like a 4-foot size alligator. It's an alligator, right? And he uses this trash bin. It's almost like he's playing Hungry Hippos. He's got the top back, and he says to his friend, "Tell me where the head is." And he goes, "I got you." So they're filming him doing this, and he basically scooped it up with this big trash bin, flipped it up, and slammed the lid on it. And then that's the whole thing. But what really cracks me up is he's wearing slides. Like, proudest thing. If you Google alligator trash bin, you will find it.
I'm going to have to do that.
Thing. You and Kelly have to talk about it next time you have a new
because
show.
I'm going to contact her this weekend because I'm going to see if we can get a show going for next week. But we're always looking for what the fuck news.
The guy and the alley. He's just like. And then this is the kindest thing. He just took it to where there's a retention pond and turned it loose. Like he didn't do anything bad to it. He just said, I got children to protect, basically. Just scooped it up, and took it off. But he was like in a pair of slides and just scooped that. I would have never thought. It was perfect though, because he couldn't bite the trash. He couldn't get his mouth around the trash bin.
That's true.
And he just scooched it up, got it backed up between the garage and the trash bin, and just flipped the lid on.
Wow.
Not that I'm going to try that.
That's a brave soul, though, because
yeah. So I thought about that. I'm like, oh, I have to see Katie and Kelly have to talk about that one.
Oh, I'm going to remember. I'm going to look it up as soon as we get off here.
I know you guys are always pulling stuff out of the news to talk about on your show.
I have a bookmark file called WTF that when I see something, I just bookmark it and I put it. I said Kelly, yes,
because you're just like, I don't know. I mean, alligators can run fast.
Yes, they can.
They are pretty dang
scary.
They
are basically dinosaurs. They're basically dinosaurs. I mean,
they
you know.
Yeah, and I want to mess with them. So, like, you know. But he was like all about it with his slides.
And we see them all the time around here. I mean, you know. So yeah, I mean, they're on the road. Yeah. You know,
in the middle of the road, the big ones. I saw one having yeah, they're just all over. It's like South Carolina, going to South Carolina. They're laying all over the golf course. Like they don't care. They're just out there. You know, well, it's really, I always say that, you know, because when I was a kid, DDT was going on and they were endangered. They were classified as endangered because they were dying. And then, man, this is like revenge for the alligators because they came back.
Where my wife goes to fish at, one of the places she's trying to get me to go to. I remember it was a few weeks before the storm. Her and one of her fishing friends, they went there in her boat, and my wife's boat, and she called me, and she was like, "Oh my God!" She was like, "The alligators are chasing us. They're following the boat."
Oh
and I'm like, "You need to get out of there." And she's like,
home now.
I was like, you need to get out of there. And then she turns around and like maybe a week or so ago, it was like, "Oh, we're gonna go fishing." And I was like, "We can't go to your normal fishing spot." It was a couple weeks after the storm. Because she usually goes to Coquetry, which is one of the places worst hit by the storm.
Oh wow. And
she was like, "Oh, we can go to this other spot." I said, "Oh, the spot where the alligators were chasing you?" I was like, "I'm not getting in the boat where the alligators were chasing you." I was like, "This is not happening. I'm not going to do well with that." I was like, So I was like, "No, that don't seem like an ideal situation." So,
oh my gosh. I grew up with I always go fishing with my dad all the time as a kid. And we fished down in the Dismal Swamp. Like I grew up in Norfolk. So we would go down to the Dismal Swamp area. And I just remember there were times you would just be holding your breath going under the trees because there were like these huge cottonmouths just like sunning themselves out over everything. And we were with my dad and his best friend who had like two boys that were like close to my age. So there's like all of us in the boat. And he got the man got his lure stuck up in the tree. And we go over to get it and he's about to reach up to get it and try and pull it out. And my dad's like, "Jay, you just need to cut your line because we got to go." And he said, "What?" He goes, "Look again." And right up in the fork of the tree, like where he was about to stick his hand to go get this lure out of it, was this great big ass, cottonmouth looking at him.
My God.
My dad said he like whacked that line and sat down in the boat. And we was like, got out of there. But yeah, it was crazy pants. But we did that.
Man versus snake
Man versus snake. Yeah, it was yeah, we weren't gonna hang around. It was like however expensive the lure was, he could have it.
There you go. You can always order a new one.
That's right. Always get a new one.
Oh my God, Brenda, it has been great you're always like the best guest, and we get to chatting about everything under the sun. I love that.
We do. I love coming and trying hot sauce with you, and I'm really excited for you to finish your book.
Me too. So. Were you one of the ones that got to read a little bit of it? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to read some of it.
Yeah.
Wait for the rest of it.
Yeah, it has a lot more to it at this point. So
yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be really fabulous because I always like what you write. It's good, fabulous stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm just.
Well, like I said, you have a few things going on. I'm hoping that life settles down for you.
Me too. My plan is I have to go to the office on Monday, and my plan is starting next week to start looking at it again and kind of placing myself back into that mode and seeing what's going to come out, so.
Yeah, and
So,
that's kind of like if you have to put something aside to come back to it, it's always that you have to
yes. There
get
you
back
go. There
into
you
that
go.
zone. I'm like I'm enjoying. I'm not other than just writing this thing right now. I don't have anything on my plate. I'm getting ready to figure out my next year's writing
Mm-hmm.
projects, and I've got a couple things I want to do, but I'm trying to just take the month of October to not write anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just think
Yeah.
and get myself sorted out. My nephew's getting married, so I'm going to go down for
Oh,
that.
let's see. There you go.
Yeah,
There you go. Okay.
that's pretty exciting. But thank you again for having me. It's been fabulous. I appreciate it.
Of
And
course. Of course. You can always
people
come
should get
back.
this hot sauce. It's really
You
yummy.
should. It is really good. It's hot. I'm warning you now.
Hot.
It's very hot. But it's,
It is.
well, how do you say?
It's
Hamjong? Hamajong?
Hamajong. Hamajong.
Hamajong. I
Hamajong.
like that. I like the title. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I like that.
And they
Okay.
have a little explanation on the side. What does Hamajong mean?
Oh, I didn't see
So
that.
yeah, yeah. So they'll tell you.
Messed up.
Messed up. It means messed up.
So yeah, if you eat a lot of this, you gonna
You're
be
gonna be messed
messed
up.
up.
Right?
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
everybody. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Girl on Fire. Brenda, like I said, it's been great having you. I'll see everybody next time.